First, I would like to extend our gratitude for you coming out this evening to hear more about our proposed recreation center. I'm not quite sure if many of you have an opportunity to fill out the survey that is available online, and it's about your input. What would you like to see in a recreation center? And I see our head coach of the Eastside High School Mighty Ghost football team, Mr. James Magazine. Let's give a round of applause. Very happy with you. You've done very well. And we owe it to our youth, and of course, all Paterson residents, to provide first-class recreational facilities. So let me take you back 5+ years ago. The first grant that my administration applied for was called the 10-Minute Walk Campaign, Frankie. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. And the 10-Minute Walk Campaign is every Paterson resident should have a park or a play space within a 10-minute walk of his or her home. And we got that grant, $40,000, which allowed us to develop a vision plan for what we wanted to see in the city. And part of that vision, obviously, was restoring Hitchcliff Stadium. So we brought that back to life. Eastside Park, the tennis courts, we renovated them. We resurfaced all the roads. We redid the sidewalk. Now we're doing all the historic steps as well. Westside Park is a $15 million project. We're just waiting on one more federal grant, and we should be breaking ground in the spring. God willing, of course. But also, we've renovated 10 athletic fields. You've seen Ray Lyde Field, which was the old Putnam Oval, Riverside Oval, Bowerly Field. We also have done a few others in other wards like Lester Titus by School 4 on Clinton Street, and we're doing the park behind Clinton Street as well. And then Buckley Park, not only did we do the field, it's a football field, and it's a multi-purpose field because they play softball and soccer, but we did the basketball court as well, named it for S.S. Carson, and now we're doing the playground. So our goal is to get every park in the city of Paterson. But you've noticed something with everything I've mentioned relative to renovating recreational spaces. All of these fields, parks, and playgrounds have one thing in common. And what is that? They're all outdoor facilities. So Paterson needs a recreation and indoor facility. So that's why tonight we want to hear from you. You know all about my vision. We want to hear your vision. And the young man that's been driving the vision, who was a part of that first grant we received, went to Chattanooga, Tennessee on a fact-finding mission to bring back best practices. So at this time, before I go any further, I'm going to yield to the director of the Department of Public Works, who some have mistaken as the head football coach of the New York Giants, Billy Rodriguez. He does look like Brian Taylor, right? You know that. You look like Tommy DeVito. No, I'm kidding.
Mary, I'm not going to talk a lot of this rec center is big for the city of Paterson. It's big for all our children who have nowhere to go. We renovated, like I said, we're renovating 10 fields, and this rec center is going to hopefully be something that we can be proud of. It's going to be a legacy project for both of us, or the whole city, everybody that's going to be involved. I would like to see more than one, but let's see what the residents said.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Director, because I was a councilman before I was the mayor for about 10 years, and we were working on a recreation center in this neck of the woods. And actually, I think that's going to proceed as well. It's separate from this project. That would be near Getty Avenue. And they actually they're going to be on the planning board for January 29th. It's a nonprofit organization partnering with the city, so we can build a recreation center here, but we want to build a recreation center on the other side of the city. I know you're alluding to potentially having multiple recreation centers. So tonight, like I said before, it is a public input session, and we are honored to have with us H2M, that's the architectural firm that we hired to drive the discussion and give us guidance along the way. As a matter of fact, there's a young man, he's a familiar face. He's a proud product of Paterson, who was at one time our director of the Department of Public Works. Who says you can't go home? And we're honored to have him here with us, and that is none other than Mr. Christopher Koch, who just celebrated his 39th birthday for like the 10th time. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. First, the mayor is right. I'm a product of Paterson, so this project is very near and dear to my heart. You know, growing up, the only indoor facilities we had growing up were the public schools, and that's when they had staff to actually staff the gyms that we could play in. So we're hoping that this will be transformative. As the mayor said, I was the former director of Public Works in the engineering department here, so I've got to give kudos to Bill. I see Cop in the back. I want to give you guys kudos and just thank you for the support you gave me while I was here. So I appreciate you guys for that. So I'm joined by my colleague Ron Leonard, one of our senior VPs. So that first should say that H2M is committed to this project as much as I am. They know my love for the city, my love for my hometown, and how important it is that we show our best and put the best product forward. I'm extremely proud of some of the initiatives that the city has taken to increase recreation. And you know, no plan is perfect. But what we want to do is make sure that this plan is as close as perfect as possible. And what I did stress to the mayor, I said we can't do this project without getting real community feedback. So even if we can't get everybody in the room today, there's going to be an online survey that we go through to show people how they can have their voices be known and heard about what they would like in this facility as we go through the planning process. So I'm going to show you just a little bit about the firm and then turn it over to my colleague.
Okay, so I'm here with Chris. I'm an architect, so I'm going to be running this presentation, but it's basically this meeting is going to be more for the public than it is for us. So H2M, we do a lot of municipal work. One of the things we specialize in as well as community centers. So I'm here to help Chris through any questions that come up, but as part of this, go ahead. Mayor gave his vision already. Okay. We're looking to gather information about the program. We can design a successful building, but in order to have a successful community center, really it needs to fulfill what the community wants and is going to utilize. So we had one public meeting already. This is the second public meeting, and we created a questionnaire along with the village. Some copies are up here. To solicit feedback on what do you want to see in this facility. And we give you a little bit of inspiration in this presentation and then we move on. Okay? If you go back a little bit. After we gather this information, we're going to evaluate the amount of space that we need to fit these spaces into the community center. We're going to look at available sites with the city to select what sites are available, and then what can best accommodate what is desired to go into the community center. Then we're going to have to do the design for the community center. There's likely to be community involvement at that point, because we're going to solicit input to make sure that items that are put into the design suit the needs of the community, and then we go into construction. Okay? So everyone said, we want your opinion. That's what we're doing. So what type of community spaces? Educational spaces. Potentially a pool. Gymnasium, indoor sports. What do you want to see in the community center? Tracks with other kind of recreational opportunities. Don't limit yourself only to physical activities. Maybe it's recording studios, dance studios, other type of community spaces. For senior center, what items need to be? Performance spaces. And other. Is there something we haven't thought of? Is there something that you think that the community would fit well into the community? We need that input. We're limited by our own thoughts. Okay? A brief timeline of what this process looks like. We're at the very early stages of this. Well, Funding has been it's been percolating for a while, but now the project is moving forward. So a timeline for something like this. We're gathering information about the programming, that's with community involvement. Then we need to evaluate the space needs. How big does this building need to be in order to be able to evaluate the sites that are available in the community to be utilized. And then we have to do design and then construction. So overall, you know, this is a 2-3-year process, 3.5-year process from the beginning to the end. That's a little bit of an outline. Okay? Questionnaire. So you can use the URL code. We also have paper questionnaires here that can be filled out, but you may want to take the questionnaire home. This isn't meant that you have to do it right now, okay? You want to put some thought into it and put it out there. You may want to talk to some of us, give us some feedback, have some conversations. So we're going to have these available here. You know, you can feel free to do either or, and I think that is going to turn it out.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go through the survey, right? And I just wanted to, again, review some of the things that we were talking about in terms of components of this rec center. We're saying recreation center, but the best word is probably community center, right? We want it to be someplace that's safe, right? That's going to encourage creativity and obviously encourage physical activity. All of those things are short order when it comes into the winter seasons. Now, in terms of what the mayor's been able to do, we do have an online survey that I'm going to go to, just so that we can all be clear on the questions. All right. So for those of you who fill it out online, it's a situation where you're going to have to click and drag. So, for example, the first question here, after you go through your, I think it only asks for your zip code, so you shouldn't have to worry about anything other than that. So, athletic facility. I would say, you know, the options are indoor pool. You drag that up to 1, and it becomes your number 1. And then so on and so forth. Box or mixed martial arts is probably number 3 for me if I did this personally, with the indoor track being 4. And then if there's other, you got a space here to input your thoughts about what else you think would be in this outdoor space. So if you plan on doing it from your phone, don't feel the need to have to do it with this hard copy we're handing out, but we have the hard copy for those who might not be as computer savvy as others. Yeah, so the truth is we're trying to get as much input as possible. So, you know, the QR code, you can end up texting it, you can email it to other people, you can post it on Facebook, and people should be able to get to the survey. I'll just go through the selections just so everyone's clear. Athletic spaces, the options are indoor pool, gymnasium, meaning the hardwood floor, basketball, volleyball, badminton, whatever hardwood sports could be played there. It'd be a multi-purpose gym would be the thought. Boxing, mixed martial arts. If you don't know, I think most of us know that Paterson has had a rich boxing history that has fallen off in the last few decades. So we thought that boxing, as well as just for safety, as well as possibly bringing it back to a bygone era when situations could be solved without pulling out a gun or pulling out a knife. So we have that up there. Community space. Now this was an important part that we talked about a lot in terms of getting input. Because we don't want a room that when that one room is not being used, it's a dead space. We need all of these spaces to be convertible so that they can always be used. Ideally, and I've spoken to the mayor about this, if all went well, this should almost be a 24-hour facility. If not, at least be open till 10, 11 at night to make sure that folks have a safe space, especially our young people have a safe space, knowing some of the challenges that some of our single parents and parents in general have in terms of time. So community space, public safety, community parking, senior resources, PAL programs, and other. You know, we had a strong PAL here back in the day, so utilizing PAL, and public safety is a little different. And public safety and community policing is meant to be a resource, a safe space where, if needed, people can communicate with the police without going to a police station. That's the intent here. So think of that as the community policing component as that. Education, multi-purpose space. We have a bunch of schools already, but there's a lot of non-traditional teaching, non-traditional lessons that our kids need, especially when you're talking about life skills and things of that sort. So imagine this space being a space set up like a classroom, but clearly not there to teach the curriculum, only the curriculum that you teach in the school. But it could also be a space where possibly adult learning classes could occur, GED classes could occur, information on how folks get jobs training, and things like that. So we have makerspace. Makerspace is just a creative space for those who want to create things. Think of Etsy, people who sell stuff on Etsy and websites like that, a space for them to be creative. Home education rooms, self-explanatory, cooking, which I don't even know if they have home ec anymore. Art, poetry, and painting areas. Workforce development space, which I was touching on. A dance room, meaning basically a studio dance room, a space for kids to express themselves. Indoor, outdoor quiet areas. You know, potentially this could be a space where a student leaves school, they go there, they go to the rec center, wait until their parents come by. And other, again, for you to put in your own input. Performance spaces. Performance space is basically a theater. Should there be any type of theater or performance space in here, right? Meaning with the recording studio, for those who might be interested in either physical or visual arts, that they can have a space to be creative, create music, create dance, put it together, because our children do have varied interests. So, performance arts, stage area with lighting. And again, these are all career-driven activities, and that if we get our young people interested in it, there's a future in utilizing these spaces that they can use in the future as they move forward in school. And then community engagement. What do you want in these areas? Dining area, stoves, parking, lockers, cafe, just clicking which ones you think are most applicable. For those who have the paper copy, just put a check. And for the order, just put 1 through 4, depending on which is most important or least important. And then days of the week, I'm gonna imagine everybody's gonna click every day. What day you use the recreation center. And then also hours. And last, which I credit the mayor's office for putting in, is will the facility require child care facilities, which could then open up this to even help more students. So a few of the challenges, what do you guys think the biggest challenge is in a facility like this? Staffing is one. The magazine, you know that right here. Space. It's not a lot of places where we could fit a facility this large. That's owned by the city already, right? So either the city's engaging a private owner to try to find this space, or working out some arrangement with one of the authorities, or possibly, reutilizing city-owned land. Now, one thing that needs to be clear, nobody should go here saying, hey, let's put it in a park. Our parks are big enough. The challenge with that is any indoor facility that goes in our park, it takes money away from the city because that green space can't be credited, right? So there's money that the city gets based on the number of square footage or the acres of grass and land that the city has for park outdoor recreation. If we build a facility in there, then that amount gets taken off. So a facility like this is going to be big, along with the parking. If it doesn't qualify for green acres funding, then it's a detriment to the city and the taxpayers. So ideally, this is going to be in property that the city can either outright own, right, or can lease at a reasonable cost that makes sense. We have even gone so far as to say, hey, maybe the city's too big for one facility. Maybe it's two facilities. But then that would be part of the strategic plan and laying out what indoor recreation looks like over the next few years. And speaking of recreation, I did speak to Assemblyman Wimberly, that we all know, the department head for recreation, and he was, very supportive of this. For me personally, I think this is also, as much as a legacy project for all of us, with him being here for so long, I think this is a great project that, that I'm happy to be working while he's still here working in recreation. So we're getting input from him. We're getting input from Director Rodriguez. We're bringing people to the table to make sure we have the best product. So with that said, you have something else? Yeah. With that said, is everybody clear on the survey, or any questions in general that you'd like to ask or to be heard? Gentleman in the back. Oh, sorry, the lady in the back. I couldn't see you in front.
Can you just stand so that we can hear you, please? I think we have another microphone, right? Come closer.
Reiterate that for the crowd. It sounds like wherever the recreation center you feel might be a target for crime by people attending it. I'll say that the intent is that it should reduce crime, right? We're building these facilities to keep our young people occupied, and not to discredit, it will be traffic, right? I think there's more people around the field as there could be issues, but that's why the public safety community policing part is so important in the survey.
Well, what we suggested to the mayor. And thank you for your question. And yes, I agree with you. It's probably more prudent to have a city-owned site. And we are looking at a few other sites. There's a feasibility study that we're currently undertaking. One is near the police department, which would address that concern relative to safety. So I'm not quite sure if we take the temperature of this room, if we have it near the police department at 111 Broadway, would that be a suitable site for a recreation center? I could envision, before you dismiss this, what I can envision, because that'll address your issue relative to safety, but also we want to recruit young men and women to potentially serve in our police department. So it would help us if they interact with police officers, particularly within one division. That division deals with community affairs. So, like led by Lieutenant Sharon Easton. So that's one benefit that we can have by having it near the police department. And also the police department, if you've ever seen, he's an engineer. It's sinking. So if we were gonna address the recreation center, we would also address the deplorable condition of 111 Broadway. So you can essentially address two issues in the same project. We're going to ask you to use the microphone.
I have the mic, and I'm next. Thank you.
Wait, I think you want Director Coe wants to finish.
I think just 1 minute, Ms. Blair. I also think when you envision, when the mayor says utilizing the public safety site or the police station, this is not one facility. It would not be one single facility, recreation center, and police station. Think about how large that lot is, right? That lot goes all the way around Memorial Drive to Washington Street. So you could envision two completely separate buildings operating on that site. So think about it more that way. Obviously, once we get all the programming information and come up with the square footages, we can lay it out. But I know that there's been some talk, because folks have called me saying, I heard the mayor wants to put it in the police station. That's not correct. We're trying to maximize the use of that land. So a police station, you can envision a police station with a garage underneath and a recreation on the other side of the property. So think about it more that way. Yes, Ms. Bland?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Jamie Bland. So, I mean, we all know that there's a down the hill. We all know that down the hill, predominantly between the area of North First and the area of Temple, we know that we have a fourth ward, and that's our village, whether it be right there near Broadway, whatever, I'm just saying. Then we also have the upper area and the east side. So we definitely would have to have at least 3, just because this is Paterson. So in Paterson, our young people, they cannot come together just because it's one great recreation center. They'll come together because it's a recreation center and it's an opportunity. Now when I say the opportunity, it might be an opportunity to take down somebody else after it closed. They'll seek them, oh, they're there, you know what I mean? Say, I see them, right. And then when they get ready to leave, that's when everybody is getting killed, after the party. You understand what I'm saying? So I do know what she is saying. It will bring a different type of people to an area that's probably safe. So we have to always think about, this is Paterson. And for some of the people that don't live in the village, like me, they wouldn't understand, because sometimes they're just so safe all the time on the outskirts, they really don't know, because I have my ear to the ground. And I'm working with the young people, so I'm not amazed about anything you would be. But even with the carjacking and all of that right now, they're not even the people, the young men from Paterson. They're from Newark and New York. So I'm just saying, you may bring a lot of the people, but the key component is to make sure we leave money for safety, public safety, whether it's next door to the police station or not. We have to have police presence, so before they come in, and definitely on their way home, because parents don't pick these kids up. You understand? And I drop off a lot, and I'm illegal a lot of nights, because I have like a car load almost in my trunk, because I'm scared. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh Jesus. But that public safety and making sure that there's 3, so we're not bringing everybody in the city to 1 or 2, we gotta always remember, we have an up the hill and a down the hill, and that middle village, you understand? So that's all I'm saying. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Because if you really want to be successful, be safe, then you have to consider the police as well.
Thank you, Mr.
Hi, my name is Dana Hillstock. I'm resident here. I'm also a school teacher in the district. And I'm concerned.
Thank you for all you do for our kids.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm concerned about the location. I heard you mention the current, where the current police department is. My concern is, number 1, the location is hard to get to now on a regular basis. Parking is terrible. Traffic is terrible with the college there. Like on a regular day, who's coming down here to park? If we want people to come in and have games and versus us, who's coming into the city where you have to pass all of that on Broadway to get there and find a park? That's number 1. Number 2, I just think it's a bad location, because it's just the location of downtown is just not conducive for traffic for young people. And I understand that you want to have the police involved with the children, but they don't need to be right next to them. They could be involved with them right now. Just come to the activities that the recreation already has, the night schools and everything else. So that's not a good excuse for me to have it down there. I think we need to give our children a little bit more credit. They mingle with each other on numerous occasions without having a whole lot of conflict. I understand that there's some conflict between groups, but I think the city is already divided. We're already divided by naming this street, this group, and this street, other ways, and you know, everybody has their little section in town, and we're already divided. I think our children need to mingle with one another and understand each other's cultures. We are a melting pot in Paterson, and we need to start our kids need to start coming together, whether it's the swimming pool on the east side or the skating rink on the west side. Like we have to give our children a little bit more credit because it's the adults that's doing the crime more so than our children. So I think when we're building this, we also need to think about access, parking, residents who already live here and pay taxes, and as well as the children getting to know one another. Our city is terribly divided because our city council kept naming different streets, different areas. So now, you know, you got Bangladesh way here, you got Jamaican way here. It's already divided. We don't need to divide it any further. We need to start bringing the cultures together because Paterson is a melting pot. We have everything.
Thank you for that note. Well noted.
Frankie? No, Frankie.
I actually want to echo a little bit of what you were saying there because I think, you know, I think what we all need to think about when it comes to Paterson is we want to build the city that we want, not the city that we have. So we shouldn't say there's an up a hill, there's a down a hill. We're aware of it. So you bring up a valid point. There's always going to be gangs. There's gangs in every city in the world. We can't capitulate to how those gangs want to run our city. So we have to bring the kids together. There probably should be one unified facility, and maybe not directly in downtown. You're right, it's kind of dense there, but probably as close to it as possible because we need to have some sort of center focal spot. I don't know if it, you know, maybe the north side's not that bad, like it's right over the river, and you could also add a little bit of attention to an area that needs it. You know, we could have some sort of economic development that starts because of this rec center. But I definitely, my vote, I don't know if that matters, but I just want to say I think we should focus more on one great spot as opposed to 6 little spots that are not going to get the resources they require. So.
And to that point, let's remember, each facility wouldn't have all the same things. So you can envision a facility that's for athletics, it's an indoor track, it's a basketball court that's multi-purpose, and then you have another center that's focused on aquatics and doing everything related to swim and senior training and all of that good stuff, and athletic training and things like that, physical therapy, things like that. So the facilities won't be identical. They're going to offer different services depending on where they are.
Hello everybody, my name is Debbie Tillman and I am one of the recreation supervisors. I've been working for recreation for the city of Paterson over 30 years, 24 of those years with Benji Wimberly, and this has always been a topic of conversation at Recreation Center. We've been asking and asking and asking for a recreation center as long as I've been working for the city of Paterson. We do what we do with what we have. And right now, we don't have a lot. And thank goodness for Paterson Public Schools not charging us for the facilities that we use, or we would really be in trouble. So this recreation center is, number one, is a must. It's been a must for years. We go to all these other cities and they have all these beautiful facilities. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 facilities. We can't get one facility. That's so sad in this city. It's so sad. Hopefully this, number one, it has to be youth friendly. It has to be, or they're not gonna come. It has to be youth friendly. at all times. It has to be youth-friendly. And like they said, it definitely has to be safe. It has to be safe. Now, us being around the police facility, I don't think that's a good idea, like this young man said. That's just not a good idea, because the kids, the first thing that, oh no, that's by the police department, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? It's so congested downtown already. A youth recreation center does not need to be around any other municipality offices. It needs to be on its own, just like it needs to be, instead of being, it needs to just be on its own. We've said that for years. And you have to talk to the recreation staff. We're the ones who know everything that's needed as it pertains to a recreation facility. So you guys need to try to set up a date where you can just meet, not with all of us, but you can just meet with most of us, because most of us here, we've been working for this recreation 20 years ago. So we know what needs to happen. We know what we need in the city of Paterson. We have a great director, and he leads by example. So we know what's needed, in this city. But we definitely need to stand alone. Everything as pertains to recreation always has to be from the bottom. We need to stand alone for a change and be our own department. We shouldn't be under DPW. We should be our own facility. This recreation center is going to be huge. It needs to be big enough to have our recreation offices in there. Right now, recreation offices are all over the city. That's okay. But it would be nice to have a facility where we all can go together to work and not have to be separated all the time, So it's just this, again, since I've been working here, we've been talking about this, and I'm hoping that before I leave this earth or leave this city, that it happens, but it definitely, my biggest concern is, like everybody else, is the safety. It has to be a safe place. We need more than one, but if we can get one for now, we're happy with that, but we definitely need more than one all over the city. It has to be.
Thank you, Debbie. I also want to emphasize that the recreation center should also accommodate senior citizens. I know you were emphasizing the importance of youth. We have senior citizens, we want them during the day to be able to go to a community center as well. So yes, we want to empower our youth. We're investing heavily in our youth. And quite frankly, this will happen before you die. Hopefully you live 50 years, but it's not going to take 50 years. Oh, you look good for your age, but I didn't even ask for you. But my point is, we have secured funding. Now it's just a matter of what do you want inside? Do you want the pool? Do you want office spaces? Yes, I think that is a very sensible suggestion relative to consolidating your recreation offices in one location. I do. I didn't agree with when you were moved downtown. However, that was a decision made long before I became mayor, so we can address that in this one central location. But also, in addition to office space, people talk about pickleball. James Magazine is a pickleball champion, is that true? Yeah, right, he's placating me now. But nevertheless, pool, all types of things. People even talk about mental health office, services that you can provide in this community center, if you want to call it that. So that's why it's important for you to take some time right now, fill out those surveys, let us know what you want in this recreation community center, so that we can, and we have a data analyst on staff that is going through all of this information. As a matter of fact, our goal is to get 500 surveys filled. We only have a little over 100. So you know that. So help us tonight, fill it out. Frankie, you got a wide range. Your influence is far and near. So get people to fill out these surveys so that we can reach our goal of 500. Really? Because here's what we do as far as communication is concerned. We have our Facebook page, my Facebook page. I do a robocall. I do a mayor's message that goes on YouTube. I also do channel 77. So we're trying to expand the way we reach out to the public. Yeah, another question, man?
thing that I noticed that's missing, and I'm born and raised in Paterson, and you know what we're missing that I do not see? I love all your ideas. Our kids that are growing up need basic office skills. You know why? Because they're going to school, high school, and grade school, but when it's time to get a job, they don't even know how to answer a phone. You know, it's like they don't even, if you're gonna bring stuff, bring that too. You know, I love the sports, but we need something where our kids can leave out of Paterson and get that job in Paramus. You know, like those are some of the things. We also need etiquette classes. We need to know we can play the best sport in the world, but if I take you to Bobo their child, how are you gonna act? That's something that we need to brighten up more for ourselves, you know, because
those are valid points. Life skills, workforce development.
Well, see, before you can even get to workforce development, they have to be able to know how to answer a switchboard.
Right.
And this is small stuff. You know how appreciative a kid would be, a young person that's trying to get a job, as opposed, they may not want to work at McDonald's, maybe they want to work in a doctor's office, but they can't get there if they don't have the basic skills, especially if they're not being taught in school. So, you know, that's what we're saying. If you're going to do that, let's push for that too. You know, so I'm sorry, it's just something that that's always been bothering.
You don't have to apologize.
It's always been bothering.
You made me remember when I worked at Burger King for 3 years. That's where I learned my customer service skills. Employee of the month, March 1993. Yes. Jamie, come on, Jamie, question though, come on.
Oh, a question?
Yeah, please, if it's a question, because we got other folks. Yeah. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Janae Bill. I'm an educator. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
An educator. I'm great, thank you. So I hear talk of youth programs in certain areas. However, we have a large community of special needs children.
Right.
So we definitely want to make sure that there's a space, indoor and outdoor, for our special needs children in the city. Is that is very much needed.
I'm glad you raised that subject matter because before I took office, we didn't have a playground to accommodate children with special needs. So then we built one at Lou Costello Park, and it's near School 2, which is a school that has a program for children with autism. Then we went to the Roberto Clemente Park, and we built another playground for children on the spectrum. The county partnered with us, and we built one on Garrett Mountain. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a playground there. Now there is a fourth playground, and Director Rodriguez is telling me it's going to be at Pennington Park. So he's potentially going to have a resolution ready for our closeout session, the meeting of the City Council, the last one of the year, December 28th, which is virtual. So you don't have to worry about it lasting for 7 hours or so. Well, you never know. But Pennington Park will be on there, and after seeing the rendering, he did incorporate something to accommodate children on the children with special needs. Okay. But yes, you're asking about indoors, but what I'm trying to say is, like, as far as outdoors, we made it a priority. Because when I was in the city council, I remember parents used to come to council meetings and during the public portion would say, I have to drive my child to Elmwood Park, or I have to drive my child to Paramus, or wherever, Bergen County, Essex County, whereas we should have, for our children here, playgrounds and play spaces.
So I have one last question.
Yeah.
This is our second meeting. I want to know what is the goal for the time frame for this, for the first center or whatever ground that we're going to get started and have this in place.
We're having this again because, like I alluded to earlier, we want the 500 surveys. We may get 200, who knows? We want more input so that we can proceed, because next year, here's what we anticipate happening. Ultimately, we get all this feedback. Then based on that, we'll determine like the size, the space that we're looking for. And then, like I stated, we do have the funding. Could it potentially be what's called a P3, a public-private partnership? You bring in a private developer and you work with the city of Paterson, potentially with the public schools as well, and then we build this facility, which is other municipalities have done it. A lot of them have done it around libraries and other public spaces. Or, for example, I know other towns in the state, what they do is they want a new city hall. We don't want a new city hall. But they'll build like this complex with a recreation center and city hall in the same space. But that's not going to happen here. Our city hall is very historic. Good or bad history. Yes? Hopefully good. Now. Yes?
Doug Golden, Paterson resident.
Oh, I know you.
31.
You're Pastor Doug.
Hi, sir. How are you, Mr. Mayor?
He's a tennis champion. You gonna talk about tennis or pickleball?
No. I want to just give my solidarity to the people of Gaza.
Thank you.
My Palestinian brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Pastor.
This is my concern for our city. My question to you is, Mr. Mayor, has there been a decision made already for this recreation
Center?
For what? Yeah, for the recreation center. Has there been a decision made already? So when we come together like this, does the city really want to hear from us, or is there a decision that has been made? Will the citizens of the residents of the city of Paterson be the drivers of this, or has there been a decision made?
No decision has been made. A couple things. One, the primary purpose of this town hall meeting was to have input from the public relative to what you want to see inside. Now, as far as where it potentially could be, that decision hasn't been made. There's a feasibility study. For example, we looked at the old YWCA. Everybody familiar with that? Carroll Street? What's that? Oh, you go there. Oh, you're on the board. So that's not happening, just so you know. It's not happening. Because I believe, and you know this, Pastor Doug, our friend Pastor Carolyn McCombs will house her program, New Destiny, inside. So that was one of the first. Yeah, so that's not, what I'm saying is, that's one of the potential locations that we were looking at. Also, 60 Temple Street, do we scale up? That currently has recreational space. Do we double down and invest even more at 60 Temple Street? We looked at the Barber Estate, which is not too, well, it's over by Paterson Catholic. That is probably not going to happen because the School Development Authority has purchased the property and is interested in not only building a new school, but another one as well, with a field. So Paterson, as you know, we have overcrowding conditions, and I'm not going to stand in the way of building new schools. So I do support a project where you get two new schools and a new field at the old Paterson Catholic site. And I mentioned the police department, near the police department, that's another potential site as well. Director Cope, I don't think there isn't anything that precludes anyone tonight from on the survey stating like, hey, I'd like to see it here or there. So again, we want to hear from you. No decision has been made relative to what is inside the building, and no decision has been made relative to where the building will be.
Okay. So my phone.
Oh, that's it. Go ahead.
No, I just want to, in terms of, you asked if it's a real effort by the city to reach out, and to hear that there was less than 100 responses for a survey, and again, advertising is probably number one. We got to get it out there and push. But I'm going to have my colleagues speak to it, because it was amazing to me, because being from here, I know how little everybody feels and has feelings about what happens in the city, but very few people really put something into action. Say, let me take the time to fill out this survey. Let me take the time to write a letter and let my elected officials, right? A lot of times it ends up being a shouting match or something that's not really productive to moving the plan forward. So for a city of over 100,000 people, figure we could say, over 150,000 people, right? To have, I'm thinking about adults who would actually fill this out, right? That we can't get 1,000, responses to something like this. And I'm going to have my colleagues speak, because I've seen it firsthand. When you talk about these communities in Long Island, and I'm not talking about just suburban communities, I'm talking about places like Hempstead, certain parts of Huntington, where people, when things happen in their community, it is a community event. Everything stops, and these are big towns. These are not towns of 30,000 people necessarily. These are folks coming out and letting their elected officials know what they want to see in their city. So I'll let Ron speak to how important community involvement is.
Just with that being said, just remember that Paterson, we have a lot of different communities. So we need to have it in multi-language, in different languages, and we also need to have it
A lot of people are not going to access it. So we need to have the QR code so we can forward it on the different platforms, along with having it in different languages. Everybody doesn't speak English, and in Paterson, we definitely know it's a melting pot. So we have to have it in more than English. We have to have it in Spanish, in Arabic, in
Actually, yes, we do have it. It's in Bangla, it's in Arabic, and it's in Spanish.
But not in paper. We need to have it digital. If it's not,
well, I have to double check on that, but for sure we have it in these languages.
If you could create links and then post it so we can forward it, schools could put it on their platform, on websites, we will get people to fill out these surveys. But if we find this out 2-3 days before the actual meetings and we have it on paper, it's not going to happen. It has to be accessible in multiple languages and on the phone.
Thank you. Feedback like that everyone's giving is really important to get. All of this important. One thing that I want to point out is at some point you want to move forward. You don't want to just talk about it. You want to execute it. Okay? So we've set some time frames. We've set some intentions with the mayor, having a couple of public meetings, trying to get the word out, to solicit the feedback. We're going to try and be as successful as we can, have people be involved all along the way. You asked the question, has a site been selected? No, but sites are being considered. So, you know, they're trying to queue them up so we'll be able to evaluate them. But where we're at right now, all the things that you guys are all thinking about are all, everything we want to hear. Write it down, make sure you're being able to communicate that so we can elicit everything. I can tell you one thing, we're going to try and accommodate as much as what we get. We're not going to be able to make it perfect because no two people are going to have the exact same intention. But we are going to take what everyone says to heart, and we're going to try and evaluate things as best as we can when we evaluate the sites. Does it serve this purpose? How big is the building? Right now, we need to be able to fit, you know, how big is this going to be? What is going in there? If something's going to be very large and it's going to drop out 10 other things that the community wants, we may want to consider not putting that large function in there and get the other major things that the community wants and save that for another project down the road. There's no consideration, you know, no decisions have been made. We need to get the feedback on what is the community, okay?
Debbie, I want to speak to what you said earlier, because Paterson's the only home I've ever known. And I get frustrated, I get impatient, because we want to see things happen yesterday. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, right? But I want Patersonians in this room to believe. Because you have an administration and the city council, I see Louis Abeles, who's been a partner in all of this, that prioritizes recreation. We really do. And for example, behind us, School 25, that field was neglected for so long. I asked this woman who lives in Woodcliff Lake if she'd give us $250,000. She don't live in Paterson, it's Marilyn Clark. She gave us that, and now they have a new field. When I was a councilor, we built that new playground here. It's one of the newest playgrounds. And now we've applied to the United States Tennis Association for the tennis courts here. And Pastor Doug knows that because he's dealing directly with them, because they're going to help us at the west side as well. And this woman, Marilyn Clark, gave us $600,000 for the field at Lester Titus by Dr. Napier's School 4. And then Habitat was doing the park, but unfortunately came short with the money. So what we do is we try to find any funding on any level. So for example, the federal level, you can add, there's community block grant funding. So Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit organization, so we can provide them with that level of funding. We have American Rescue Plan money. We've used a lot of that for the parks. But then on the state end, we also have what's called supplemental transitional aid, which we've used as well. And then on the county level, you have open space funding. So we're trying to exhaust all types of funding sources for these parks and recreational spaces. Now this project, I mean, you're looking at between $20 to $30 million. And we are most likely going to be using federal funding and partnering with a private entity as well. I'm thinking about, and Coach Magazine, you'll appreciate this. The field house, Barley Field, Dr. Gerald Glissett Field House, we borrowed that money. That was money that we borrowed, and it was $1 million to renovate that field house. So, Debbie, I feel you on this, right? Like, we've been here all our lives, and we just want to see things happen. Things are happening. There's no doubt this is going to happen in your lifetime, my lifetime, and Chris Coke's lifetime. But it's just, today, we want to hear from you. We're going to get it all together, and we're really going to get going. Because what happens with some of these funding sources, you have to encumber it by a certain point. Like American Rescue Plan money, if it's not encumbered by next year, you lose the money. We're not going to lose the money. And Billy Rodriguez knows I'm very patient. He's the only director I talk to every day. And sometimes about potholes and resurfacing your roads, which is another topic of conversation. Yes, River Street will be resurfaced next year, along with 29 other roads. I don't know where you live, but hopefully you live in one of those 29 besides River Street. But nevertheless, I call Billy every day about parks. Right? Billy, today was about Ray Line Field because they left the door open where they broke the door, which I'm very upset. We invest millions of dollars to renting fields for people to break the door. We got to take care of what we... Council, you're chomping at the bit. I think he's going to be the last voice we hear from.
Yes.
Because I have to go to another town hall meeting about trash collection. You know we're changing that, right? We got a new company coming in. It's going to save the city a lot of money. In fact, Director Rodriguez, tomorrow we have, all right, this is the best part of the garbage company. They moved to Paterson. Am I correct? They're on Harrison Street. So they moved to Paterson, and tomorrow they're having a job fair at 2 o'clock. So if you know anyone that's looking for that type of employment, tell them 2 o'clock in Paterson, and we have more information coming. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I compromised myself to follow you on all the town hall meeting regarding the recreation center. Last time we had the opportunity as a community to express ourselves what we want, right? So I'm going to speak now as a legislative body of the city of Paterson because yes, I'm going to support it. Whatever it goes, we need to support it. I want to commend Director, I'm going to call him Director still, my friend Chris Coke. I have a lot of confidence on you that you are from Paterson. You know the needs that Paterson have, and moving forward, that you're going to think in community. I'm going to thank the DPW Director that have been on top of a lot of stuff, being a chair of DPW. I know how hard he works with his team to make sure our city move forward in a lot of stuff pertaining recreation and other things. But I'm a little bit concerned. The mayor spoke about partnership. I know the residents of Paterson are more concerned that the partnership then turns out into no participation from the residents of Paterson in using the recreation center. Okay, so what I heard from the mayor is that, and he mentioned some site that already compromised with third parties, like the YMCA, like the 60 Temple is compromised with other agencies and other facilities, et cetera, and other boards. What I would recommend that we as leaders of this city and looking forward that we could own our own recreation center, even that we're going to use federal funding and some partnership and funding that stays in the land that is owned by Paterson, that nobody has to come and say that land is part of that partnership and then Paterson will have participation in having the programs there or whatever. I was recommending for the longest that to look into, do an accessory site and look into Roberto Clemente Park. Roberto Clemente Park is owned by the city of Paterson, is in the middle of all wards in the city of Paterson, has transportation accessible with New Jersey Transit. I'm going on Park Avenue, New Jersey Transit coming down to Market Street, and if you go to the surrounding of the community, it is well diverse. It has a lot of individuals from different kind of community that could take advantage of this recreational center. And not only that, it's surrounded by more than 10 schools that those schools could take advantage directly with after-school program directly to the recreation center in Paterson that is going to be owned by us. So thinking about that, we have the land, it's owned by the Paterson, City of Paterson. Now, $30 million invested in recreation and keeping part of the park. It will be beneficial for the 10-minute walk to the park, 10-minute walk to the recreation center, and it's in the middle of the heart of Paterson. That is the 5th ward that I always love to see growing up for invite everyone in the center of the city. Think about it. If you put in the 6th ward, how many individuals or kids are going to come down in transportation, the lack of transportation? We don't have a lot of transportation coming down here by public transportation. If you take up to the 2nd ward, same thing. But when you have this mass transportation and you have the amount of school surrounding the recreation center, it will be a benefit for all of us. I recall way back when they were talking about the armory, that they want to turn the armory into a recreational center to make it possible to all the schools, even churches, participate in that recreational center. I just want to leave that thought that you guys are welcome to come to Roberto Clemente Park with administration to the team, analyze where they want to put it, and probably it's going to be more beneficial. And people don't have to say that we build in third parties property and they own more than the residents of Paterson are going to own on that situation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councilman. That actually was, just so you know, the mayor did bring that to the table in one of our discussions with the director. There's some negatives to that, Councilman, so somebody will get back to you and explain to you what the challenges are with some of those sites. I see the mayor had to rush out, but I don't want to end the meeting early. Is there any other comments or questions? Again, this was useful, but I would have loved to see another 50 people here, honestly, right? Because we have a habit of it getting built and then everybody complaining after the fact. I don't want to be involved in any project like that. I want to get the community's feedback up front before we have one person really put pen to paper and start putting this thing together. We need it, because what will happen is if we halfway through the process and now changes are coming, now those are extra fees, those are extra costs, we wasted time. That's what we don't want to do. And that's why we're taking this time to get input from the community. I can't say, I don't care what your differences may be with the mayor himself, the administration, or the council. This is a Paterson project. When those people in those seats change, this facility is still going to be there. So please just encourage your neighbors, your friends, and other folks to comment. You got something else?
I know he said something about the white Rouge wasn't and then down where it used to be. Those places are too small. You need a big spot. Those spaces that he was talking about, those spaces he was talking about, those are too small. If we're going to do this, we need to do this big with whatever plan we have.
Especially if you're talking about a pool.
But those spaces right there, those spaces are definitely too small. If you want to put a swimming pool there and different things, we need to think big, and we need a space that can accommodate all that. Where they were just talking about those two sites where they are not even anyway, sites like that are just too small.
Well, what I'll probably do to your other point too, because I think about the Temple Street Rec in terms of operations. I remember how we used to operate, how late it would be open, how it was next to the projects. I never felt threatened in there personally, but again, I understand the safety concerns. I went down there as a kid to play. But I will ask Assemblyman Wimberly and Director, maybe we do something small just with recreation staff so we can get their input. I can set up something like that, even if it's virtual. Yeah, so that we can make sure that everybody's heard. So yeah, to that point.
Hey Chris, real quick, I was just saying, is it possible to update the digital form to maybe have some suggestions for locations? It's such an important issue. Could we maybe get some, for people like throwing ideas?
I think it's a second round only because what we want dictates the size needed. And that's where the confusion is. And to the young lady's point, if you go up to the top, you can change the languages. So up here, it's Arabic, English, and Spanish. So I guess I'll ask the administration if they're going to add for the Bengali.
One suggestion, I have a suggestion. for building, if we have to build multiple sites, which it looks like land is an issue, so we might have to put swimming somewhere, basketball. I would like to see the basketball component put up first, and like with 4 different courts. And the reason is because we have a soccer field already, we have a new stadium for football, we have baseball down at the Larry Doby. I would like to see a facility with maybe 4 courts, good seating for basketball indoors, because then we'll have people who come from other towns who might want to play our kids and make it a real competition instead of using the schools all the time. I would like to see, if we have to build one thing first, I would like to see that built first, because a lot of our students of all ethnicities play, and there's teams all over from all different parts of the town. And right now, we don't have a facility that we're proud of to host city league stuff other than the school. So I would like to see that first, possibly with maybe 4 courts in it, so we can have tournaments within our own town.
Understood. Although with these contracts, you might want to put some batting cages. Contracts. All right. So with that said, I guess directly to the highest, you want to end the meeting for us? Last comment. Oh, Ms. Bland. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay, Bill, will you, after you or? Okay, so what I want to know is, out of the 30 million, are you, do you think that you could provide at least 3 recreational centers, just
that'd be tough, but we wouldn't know until.
Like, do you think
we don't know
that there's such thing as a budget that would be able to provide 3
the original
recreational centers?
I'm not saying no. The original intent was for.
Is there such thing as a blueprint?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying it is because I understand everything that everybody's saying, bring them all together. So Mary Poppins, that was beautiful. I grew up on Mary Poppins, but this is Paterson. I buried several young people. A couple probably were innocent. And some, I'm gonna tell you the truth, the 230 boys, somebody got shot. I just don't want to put out too much information because y'all not the police and this is not the place. But I'm gonna give you an example. You got the boys up on Belmont called the Block Boys or whatever, okay? They got shot at from the people down in the 4th. I'm not saying their name. When they went to the hospital, the mother said to the gang up down the hill, y'all better get them MS. You understand what I'm saying? So now in the midst of all of this, you got good kids at a recreational center. You understand what I'm saying? Here, one of the boys staking out, you know, somebody that comes in and out just playing basketball or football or whatever. And other kids get shot in the midst. This is reality. You cannot think, because parents are even behind it. I'm telling you, some of the fathers are gang members. They bring me water in the summer. I'm just asking for the safety. We wish that everybody could be together. It would be beautiful. But it's Paterson. It's not Hackensack. It's not Hawthorne. I just need, please, to see if you can find in your budget to at least be able to break it up into 3, so that until everything becomes one, maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 years, maybe never, but we're safe, because I'm scared for my life too. I'm just crazy. That's why I've been here 25 years.
Well, that's going to be part of the conversation.
I mean, you know, I'll just keep it real with you. I run an anti-violence program.
We know your work well, Ms. Bland. We know your work well. But we're going to be working with all the parties involved, and we just can't commit to how far it's going to go. Because you also have the opportunity to leverage money too, right? So we got 10 million in another group that's into the recreation. That's going to be a lot of our conversations with recreation team. Pulling on a lot of these places, right? Whether they be places that make sports equipment that we buy anyway for our students, things like that. So we're gonna do everything we can to put the most we can in that dollar.
Police presence.
Yeah.
Police presence. One of the parents and her son came in and smacked the hell out of one of my girls.
Okay. So with that, we're gonna end. We will be here so you can get some hard copies, as well as if you want to talk about some of the other projects we've done.
And share the information with people who aren't able to come.
But again, please, we need input here. We can't have 100 or 200 people filling out a survey that's going to impact, that will impact 160,000 people. So do what you can to get the word out. Thanks again for your time, everyone, and it was an honor to be here. Thank you. Okay. The meeting's officially ended, but everybody go.
Thank you. Listen, I've been listening to recreation work. Recreation is not only sports. It comes with disciplines, it comes with education, it comes with other things that educate those students how to succeed in life. So hopefully the administration already have a plan when they have the building, what resources they have in that building to give to the community. Everybody knows that every building that is managed by any private entity has their own rules, strict rules, so we're not going to house people just to do whatever they want, right? It comes with a plan, a building with a plan to make sure that everyone take advantage of it. I just want to say that.